yes, the supply line should be replaced. The National Electrical Code requires that electrical wiring be protected from damage. Bending wires sharply can damage the insulation and create a fire hazard. The National Electrical Code specifically states that conductors shall not be bent to a radius less than 8 times the overall diameter of the insulated conductor, except at terminals or where otherwise required, as stated in National Electrical Code 392.12. In this case, the feeder wire was bent sharply, which violates this code requirement. As a result, the wire should be replaced to ensure safety. Here is a suggested replacement procedure. Firstly, turn off the power to the baseboard heater. Secondly, remove the baseboard heater from the wall. Thirdly, carefully remove the insulation around the damaged section of the feeder wire. Fourthly, cut the wire at the point where it was bent. Fifthly, install a new section of wire that is the same size as the original wire. Sixthly, insulate the new wire connections. Seventhly, reinstall the baseboard heater on the wall. Eighthly, turn the power back on. It is important to use a wire that is rated for the current draw of the baseboard heater. The new wire should be properly supported to prevent it from being bent again. If you are not comfortable performing this repair yourself, it is recommended to contact a licensed electrician. Electrical work should always be undertaken with caution and a thorough understanding of safety procedures. Before commencing any electrical repair, ensure that the power supply to the circuit is completely shut off at the breaker panel. Use a reliable voltage tester to verify that the circuit is de-energized before touching any wires. Never assume a wire is safe to handle even if the breaker is off, as there could be backfeeds or other unforeseen issues. When replacing the wire, select a type and gauge that are suitable for the application. Consult the National Electrical Code or a qualified electrician to determine the appropriate wire size based on the circuit's amperage rating and the length of the run. Using an undersized wire could lead to overheating and potential fire hazards, while using an oversized wire is generally safe but can be more expensive and difficult to work with. When making connections, use approved connectors that are appropriate for the wire type and size. Ensure that the connections are tight and secure to prevent loose connections, which can cause arcing and overheating. Wrap all connections with electrical tape to provide insulation and protect against accidental contact. When running new wire, follow the National Electrical Code guidelines for routing and securing cables. Avoid running wires through areas where they are likely to be damaged, such as through doorways or under carpets. Use staples or cable ties to secure the wire to studs or joists at regular intervals. When working with baseboard heaters, be aware of the potential for high temperatures. Ensure that the heater is properly grounded and that there is adequate clearance around the unit to prevent combustible materials from coming into contact with hot surfaces. Regularly inspect the heater for signs of damage or wear, such as cracked heating elements or loose connections. If you notice any problems, have the heater repaired or replaced by a qualified electrician. It is also important to consider the overall electrical system in the home. Older homes may have outdated wiring or inadequate grounding, which can increase the risk of electrical hazards. If you are unsure about the condition of your electrical system, have it inspected by a qualified electrician. They can identify any potential problems and recommend upgrades to improve safety. Furthermore, consider installing arc fault circuit interrupters, or RSIs, in your electrical panel. RSIs are designed to detect dangerous arcing conditions, which can be a common cause of electrical fires. When an arc is detected, the RSI will trip the circuit breaker, cutting off the power and preventing a fire from starting. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to err on the side of caution. If you are not comfortable performing a repair yourself, or if you have any doubts about the safety of your electrical system, contact a licensed electrician. They have the training and experience to safely and effectively handle any electrical issue. Moreover, always obtain the necessary permits and inspections before starting any electrical work. This will ensure that the work is done in compliance with local codes and regulations. When cutting the damaged wire, use a proper wire cutter to ensure a clean and even cut. Avoid using dull or damaged tools, as they can damage the wire or create a hazardous situation. When stripping the insulation from the wire, use a wire stripper to avoid nicking or cutting the conductor. Nicks or cuts in the conductor can weaken the wire and create a point of failure. When making connections, ensure that the wires are properly twisted together before applying the connector. A loose or poorly twisted connection can create a high-resistance connection, which can lead to overheating and potential fire hazards. When insulating the new wire connections, use electrical tape that is rated for the voltage and temperature of the circuit. Apply the tape in a spiral fashion, overlapping each layer to ensure a complete seal. When reinstalling the baseboard heater, ensure that it is securely mounted to the wall. A loose or unstable heater can create a safety hazard, especially if it is located in an area where it could be easily bumped or knocked over. Before turning the power back on, double-check all of your connections to ensure that they are tight and secure. Also, inspect the wiring for any signs of damage or wear. If you notice any problems, correct them before energizing the circuit. After turning the power back on, monitor the baseboard heater for any signs of overheating or malfunction. If you notice anything unusual, turn off the power immediately and contact a qualified electrician. In addition to following the National Electrical Code guidelines, it is also important to be aware of any local codes or regulations that may apply. Local codes may have more stringent requirements or specific rules for certain types of electrical work. Contact your local building department to obtain information about local codes and regulations. When working with electricity, it is always best to be informed and prepared. Take the time to learn about electrical safety and the proper procedures for performing electrical work. With the right knowledge and tools, you can safely and effectively handle many common electrical repairs. Remember, safety should always be your top priority when working with electricity. Never take shortcuts or compromise on safety to save time or money. The consequences of an electrical accident can be severe, so it is always best to err on the side of caution. Furthermore, consider the environment in which you are working. Avoid working in damp or wet conditions, as this can increase the risk of electric shock. If you must work in a damp environment, use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as rubber gloves and boots. Also, be aware of any potential hazards in the surrounding area, such as exposed pipes or metal objects. Avoid touching these objects while working with electricity, as they can provide a path for current to flow through your body. It is also important to keep your work area clean and organized. Clutter and debris can create tripping hazards and make it more difficult to work safely. Keep your tools and materials within easy reach, and avoid leaving loose wires or other objects lying around. When you are finished working, clean up your work area and dispose of any waste materials properly. Remember that electrical safety is an ongoing process. Regularly inspect your electrical system for signs of damage or wear and take prompt action to correct any problems. By following these guidelines, you can help to ensure the safety of yourself and your home. Electrical systems, while generally reliable, are subject to wear and tear over time. Insulation can degrade, connections can loosen, and components can fail. Regular maintenance and inspections can help to identify potential problems before they become serious hazards. Schedule a professional electrical inspection every few years to have your system thoroughly checked. An electrician can identify any hidden issues and recommend necessary repairs or upgrades. In addition to professional inspections, there are also some things you can do yourself to maintain your electrical system. Check your outlets and switches for signs of damage, such as cracks or loose connections. Replace any damaged components promptly. Inspect your extension cords and power strips for frayed or damaged insulation. Discard any cords that are in poor condition. Make sure that your surge protectors are functioning properly. Surge protectors can help to protect your electronic devices from power surges, which can damage sensitive components. Test your ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, regularly. GFCIs are designed to protect you from electric shock in wet areas, such as bathrooms and kitchens. Press the test button on the GFCI outlet. The outlet should trip, cutting off the power. If the outlet does not trip, it may be defective and should be replaced. Finally, be mindful of your energy consumption. Overloading circuits can cause overheating and potential fire hazards. Avoid plugging too many devices into a single outlet or extension cord. Use energy-efficient appliances and light bulbs to reduce your overall energy consumption. By taking these steps, you can help to keep your electrical system safe and efficient.